What is up, guys? Welcome back to CageChat MMA. We're here for, of course, UFC Vegas 18. We're back in Nevada in the UFC Apex. And, of course, we've got a heavyweight clash, which is, I'm going to coin the phrase from PT Editorial. Of course, it's the unofficial, almost heavyweight tournament, you could say. We've had the lightweight tournament go on in Abu Dhabi on Fight Island, of course. But I think, we've got 3 heavyweight clashes, 3 heavyweight main events coming up this month with, obviously, Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis and then Rosenstruck versus Gunn. Ending out the month now, which is now a 5-round main event, of course. But tonight, we've got the old guys. We've got Alistair Overeem, who is, of course, making that one last run for the heavyweight title. The only title that is missing from his cabinet, you could say. He probably could have been and should have been heavyweight champion already in the UFC, with the Stipe Miocic fight and the controversy that covered that one. Obviously, did Stipe tap or not? We will never be able to right that wrong if it was the case. Obviously, Stipe Miocic is the current heavyweight champion, of course, defending his title against Francis Ngannou next month, I think, on the 1st March card. And that's going to be an incredible bout as well. Now, I think the way you look at the framing of the division, you probably see Curtis Blades, Derek Lewis is next. So actually, we can't forget John Jones is next. It doesn't matter who really, no matter what happens. The heavyweight debut of John Jones is next for Francis or Steve, depending on how it goes. Maybe if Francis wins, you have to put that John Jones fight against Francis, and then Steve Miocic if he's still fighting, because I think he is coming towards the end. If Francis beats Steve next month, he pick the trilogy. But it's a much needed month for the division. Obviously, Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis, which is happening in a couple of weeks, and we will preview that then, was meant to happen in November, and it got postponed due to COVID, I believe, or an injury. And it sort of helped in a way, because obviously we have got this stack up in the division. We'll take a quick look at the heavyweight rankings, of course. That's the bantamweight rankings, sorry. Heavyweight rankings, of course. Obviously, we say we've got Francis Ngannou versus Miocic coming up in a month now. Curtis Blades, Derek Lewis in a couple of weeks, and Rosenstruck versus Gunn. So obviously, we've got a 5 and 6 tonight in Overeem with Volkov, and a win for Overeem would push him into that number 1 contender spot. It's a shame that he did lose that Rosenstruck fight, because obviously he won 24 minutes and 59 seconds of that fight before getting knocked out, and obviously that pushed Rosenstruck on to against Ngannou, who, with all due respect to Rosenstruck, got flatlined by Ngannou. So it's a difficult one. Ngannou's knocked out Blades twice. He's got a loss to Lewis. So maybe rebook that fight. If Lewis beats Blades next week, or in 2 weeks' time, should I say, you book Ngannou, Lewis 2 down the line. Obviously, the first one was a terrible matchup. Both of them were low in confidence, but, Ngannou was just coming off that title shot originally against Miocic. And it's an interesting one. Obviously, you've got Cyril Gane from France now, with France legalizing MMA. You could definitely see him, main event in a card in France, whether that's against Ngannou, who's obviously originally from Cameroon, born in Cameroon, but lived and trained in France for a long time now. And obviously, you do have John Jones, who's waiting about 240 now. So it's an interesting one. But tonight, Overeem, we mentioned it before. This one last run, it could be the last time we see him in the octagon tonight. He said, as soon as he loses, pretty much, whether that's tonight or before he gets a title chance or as champion, the next time he loses, he's going to be hanging out the gloves. This is his final ride, as you could say. And he's putting a fantastic, body of work. And he's got 2 wins coming to this, Augusta Sakai and Walt Harris. He knocked them both out. Obviously, Walt Harris, that was his return fight from obviously his tragic year last year. And he came back, and he's admitted he came back too soon for that one, And he almost got the win against Alistair Overeem, but, the experience and endurance of Overeem pulled him through that fight. Obviously, before that was the loss to Rosenstruck, as we mentioned. But he's beaten Alexei Olenek and Sergey Pavlovich before that, of course. He had a pretty rough time with Curtis Blades and Ngannou. 2 finishes, which, when you do look at the rankings, it's hard to match up, because obviously, if Overeem gets win tonight, you can't just throw him into a title shot. Now, Overeem, maybe Jones would sell well, but again, John Jones is that much of the superstar. His first fight needs to be for the title, and I think Dana and everyone pretty knows that the first time we see John Jones at heavyweight will be for the title, whether it's Miocic or Ngannou, nonetheless. So, but yes, Volkov is of course coming in on this fight, or into this fight on the back of a win to Walt Harris. Of course, poor Walt Harris, back-to-back losses. He obviously got that finish against Curtis Blades. he lost to Coach Bellator, we say, by decision at June, obviously in the UFC Apex, so he's used to that arena as well. But that wasn't a great fight to see. He beat Greg Hardy before that, but Greg Hardy did step on short notice, and obviously he lost to Derek Lewis back at UFC 229, which stemmed up the superstardom pretty much Derek Lewis, because he won that with 20, 30 seconds left to go in that third and final round. A fight he was very much losing at the time. But yes, make sure to drop this video a like, of course. Put your comments down and your predictions in the chat below. Overeem or Volkov, who gets the win tonight? It's a stacked card. We have lost 2 fights tonight. We're still at the 12 fight card. It's kicked off at the moment as well. I think Molly McCann's first walking out with the rearrangement of the cards, so to speak. But these two absolute legends of the game. 47-18 record there for Alistair Overeem, and a 32-8 there for Alexander Volkov. It's not too often we see Alistair Overeem fight someone bigger than him at 6'7" in Overeem. We'll take a quick look, of course, at the tail of the tape. 6'4" versus 6'7". These are two giants, 265 versus 264. Both of them made weight, and Volkov coming in the heavier of the two. How that dictates the fight, I don't know. Both of these are very good kickboxers, very strong. This is going to be a stand-up fight. I don't see these two taking too much time on the ground unless it's been a knockdown, of course. And Overeem is very capable on the ground as well. Both of them got identical reach. So that 3-inch advantage in the legs for Volkov could be a telling sign. He has got incredible kickboxing ability, but then again, obviously Overeem, former glory kickboxer, of course. K1, should I say? Former Strikeforce. He's got all that talent and all that experience in the bag for him. So this one, I don't expect it to go to 4 or 5 rounds. It could be a war, but if it is a war, it will only go 3 rounds. I would expect. I think we have a back and forth, a filling out round in round 1, and then maybe the leader after round 1 starts to take full control of the fight and gets a finish in round 3. But I'm looking forward to this one, and it is. If it does feel like it's an unofficial heavyweight tournament, and whoever wins tonight goes on into the semi-final, so to speak. I'm stealing this from Nick Pete from BT because it is a bit of fun. But it'd be interesting to see. I think Rosenstruck, if he beats Garn, set himself up for a semi-final, and Lewis and Blade set themselves up for a semi-final. Get them 4 matched up into 2 semi-finals, and the winner can face John Jones, Ngannou, or Stipe, whoever who's in that triangle of competitors. Whoever comes out on top, their first challenger will be one of these 4 fighters that win this week or this month, should I say? But yes. We'll move on to the co-main event. Now, this is a title, number 1 title contender bout, and it's between, obviously, Cory Sandhagen and Frankie Edgar, of course. And it's going to be an incredible bout. Frankie Edgar, of course, legendary career at the moment. Sandhagen still coming up, you could say, during his MMA career. 13-2, he beat Marlon Moraes with that spinning heel kick, and it was a phenomenal knockout. He put to bed that loss to Aljamain Sterling, which you could say, it wasn't a fluke of the loss, but one of those ones, it was a first round at UFC 250. It was very quick, than done with. So maybe, Sandhagen would have been disappointed, but it's not like he got, beat up for 3 rounds, got shown he was, maybe not at that level. He didn't get to showcase his talents because Sterling was phenomenal. And of course, Sterling, is fighting for the title next month against Petty Yan. That's going to be an incredible bout. Should have happened already, but unfortunately due to injuries and whatnot, postponed to this month. Same with Nunes and Miguel Anderson on that same card, the triple header card, at the end of March. But that's the only sort of really blemish on Sandhagen's career. Obviously, he's 13-2, so he's had a loss prior to that. But names he's beaten: Rafael Sancho, John Lineker, Mario Batista. He's got a fantastic resume on him, as does Frankie Edgar. Coming into this on the back of that win against Pedro Munoz. And, he's going to have a phenomenal... that bout got cancelled 3 times. I thought it got made. It was meant to fight Sandhagen last year, of course, on the 25th of May. Before, I believe that was meant... I believe that got cancelled prior to... Or just as it was going into the lockdown, sorry. There was those 3 events that did get cancelled. Then a lot of those fights got rescheduled when we came back for 249. And those 2 Jacksonville cards that we had after that. But... his 2 wins and others last 5, of course, a lot of those in featherweight against the Korean Zombie, Max Holloway, and Brian Ortega, where he got finished, of course. And that Korean Zombie fight was one he took on short notice, but he's back. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. I do believe the other winners this fight's Petty or Aljamain Sterling, probably in the summer now. With that March card, you probably see him fight probably in August. But it's a fun division. And again, if we take a look at the rankings, of course, we've got Aljamain Sterling, Petty Yan. We've got Cody Garbrandt back in the mix, Frankie Edgar, Rob Font, after that phenomenal win that he had before the end of the year. Jose Aldo's there, Marlon Moraes, Pedro Munez, and Jimmy Rivera facing off again. And obviously, you've got Rafael Sancho. Now, of course, let's not forget you've got TJ Dillashaw is now eligible to compete as well. So maybe the winner tonight face Dillashaw, especially if they're the quick one. Edgar Dillashaw sells phenomenally well. Two former champions, two fantastically big names. Sandhagen and also Dillashaw, maybe with all due respect to Dillashaw, it's the old guard going to the new guard. You could say Sandhagen is one of these almost new kids on the block, albeit he's been here and been around for a long time now. But, Frankie Edgar, it's hard to look past him, isn't it? You see a phenomenal talent he is coming out of New Ireland, of course. And, we'll take a look at the tape. Let's have a look. Obviously, Sandhagen 5'11" for that 135 frame is absolutely huge. It's almost like a bantamweight Max Holloway. You stand at 6 foot for that 145 frame. You'd expect Sandhagen. How old is he? He's still what? Let's see. He's in his 20s, early 20s, late 30s. So yeah, 28. So 28 years of age is pretty expected to move up to featherweight maybe in 4 years' time. Once that extra 10 pounds is much more difficult to lose. But he's got an advantage in every sort of aspect tonight. 70-inch reach advantage. 2-inch reach advantage, got 70-inch reach there for Sandhagen compared to 68 for Frankie Edgar, and 40-inch leg reach for Sandhagen compared to 37.5. But Edgar's been on these stages before. He's been, when Sandhagen, he's been through so many more battles than Sandhagen has, with all due respect to Sandhagen. So he might just have that experience to get over the line to finish him. But again, it almost reminds me of Dan Hooker and Makachana from a couple of weeks ago, where we are looking at them going, oh, these two in height comparisons is almost too unfair. And maybe, we see Frankie Edgar take a book out of Iron Mike and, look to move in and out very quickly, look for those overhand rights. And if he's circulating them in the right way, coming over with that left hand instead and catch Sandhagen, at the right time. But again, Sandhagen is very long, very technical, and he should be able to keep Frankie Edgar at bay. Now, whether this goes in 4 or 3 rounds, I think this does go to full distance, unless we do see a Michael Chan direct knockout. And if it does go to distance, it'll be interesting to see if Sandhagen's on the end of that result and end of that decision. I think he will be, but I do think, he's on the come up again, and if he gets a win tonight, he's back in title contention. Now, if Aljamain Sterling picks up the title against Petty, and that does throw a little spanner in the mix for Sandhagen, because obviously Sterling's got such a dominant win over him already. But again, Sandhagen, if he doesn't seem that sort of person, but if he comes out on the mic, if this is all hypothetical, if Sterling does win that fight, Sandhagen comes out, right, you beat me during during the pandemic era, we didn't train properly, whatnot. You can build that rematch up. But again, Petty Yan is no one to look too far ahead of. And I know Aljamain Sterling knows that. But, Petty Yan, Sandhagen would be good. Petty Yan, Frankie Edgar would be a phenomenal fight to sell. And obviously, again, TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt are there. Let's not forget about those two either, still in title contention. Now, whether they're looking at flyweight, maybe thinking they've got a better chance, because they're probably pretty much guaranteed a flyweight title chance. Coming back, Cody Garbrandt and Dillashaw is. Whether TJ wants to do that again, we don't know. But yes, a fantastic co-main event in probably the second best division at the moment in the UFC. You've got lightweight showing everyone that they're still the stardom, they're still the power division of the UFC. You've got welterweights going at next week. Middleweight's still there, although not as many contenders in there. You obviously got Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa, Jared Cannonier still there, Darren Till still there. But in the bantamweight, you've got from championship down to the 10, you've got phenomenal matchups that you could, it's almost like a, tossing a coin to see who comes out winner of that one. But yes, fantastic co-main event. And, I'm sure when we do see the end of this fight, if it does reach that 3 rounds, we'll probably be sitting there going, I wish we could have 2 more rounds of that fight. But who knows? Now, maybe the most fun fight of the night is Michael Johnson versus Clay Guida. This one's two fighters who can bring it on the night, but also, sometimes they fall short of their expectations. Michael Johnson, you see him against Khabib, is coming in on phenomenally poor, poor results. 3 losses in a row. He had 2 wins against Artem Lobov and Andre Philly. Then he had 3 losses, on that, albeit losses to within that 3 against Gaethje and Khabib Nurmagomedov, 2 former. Well, you got the greatest of all time there in Khabib, and obviously an interim title holder in Justin Gaethje. Thought that he beat Dustin Poirier, and obviously lost to Diaz and Dariush fights tonight, of course. So you look at his resume; it's a phenomenal resume. But in the past couple of years, there's been a lot more losses than there have been wins. But Clay Guida is not, he's on the same sort of resume himself in terms of recent form. He's not the most informidable force to beat, and you could see Michael Johnson put another phenomenal performance. He hits very hard. He gave Khabib a run through his money, albeit, Khabib in the end stole the show on that night at UFC 205. But again, looking at Clay Guida, Jim Miller, he lost to, of course, and Bobby Green in his last 2 fights, beat BJ Penn, lost to Jim Miller, before that. Yes, and then lost to Charles Oliveira in the lightweight division, of course, who's looked phenomenal as should be, rightfully facing probably Dustin Poirier or Michael Chandler's next fight if Poirier takes the McGregor fight. But yes, 8-fight win streak for Oliveira. So again, fantastic names on his resume, but unfortunately he fell short on those occasions. Beat Joe Lozon, of course, and Eric Koch, who I believe got released this year, didn't he? I think he's just been recently released. I may have got that wrong. I might be thinking of someone else. But yes, before that, he lost to Thiago Tavares and Brian Ortega as well. But to have a quick look at the Taylor tape, 20-16 versus 35-17. Two, veterans of the game now coming towards the end. What's Clay Guida is 39, and Michael Johnson 34. So he's still quite young for his age, but again, a lot of miles on the clock for someone with that 36th professional fight record. He does beat the advantages in terms of reach and leg reach, 73.5 inch for Johnson versus 74 Clay Guida, and then 41-38. So you're expecting Michael Johnson to come out more favourable. He's got 3-inch height advantage as well. And I do think Michael Johnson gets back in the win column tonight. He needs it, otherwise, both of these are facing potential cuts. We saw the brutality of the cuts from the UFC in the past 12 months, especially the past 6 months. And a loss tonight could spell the end. You look at Michael Johnson, he's on a 3-fight loss streak once. He can be favourable to have 3 losses and they'll try and turn it around. But, that 4th one, if you lose it, you're probably on the chopping block. And maybe rightfully so. But again, same for Clay Guida. He's on 2 at the moment, 3 losses out of his last 4. So, again, a loss for either of these could potentially see the end of their UFC careers. Now, someone making their UFC career or their UFC debut tonight is Manuel Cape. Now, I've not seen much of him from Ryzen, of course, but the group chat I'm in is always talking very highly of him. He's supposed to make his debut last year back in August, and he's spoken very highly of, and it shows. He's up against Alexander Pantoja, who's 5th in that flyweight division. Sorry, and win here for Cape will put him very high up in that ranking. And also, you've got Figueiredo versus we've got the champ Figueiredo making the rematch next year against Perez or Moreno. Sorry, I've just completely blanked the name then. But yes, Cape here gets a win. You see him, maybe up against Benavidez, perhaps. I don't know if Benavidez, he started a podcast with Megan O'Leary, whether he's looking at pastures new beyond his career. But again, Cape, phenomenal fight. I haven't got the graphic here, unfortunately. But Pantoja 22-5. Of course, against Manuel Cape, again, Portuguese 15-4. Can be interesting to see where he's at. But again, it'd be interesting to see him make his UFC debut in an empty UFC Apex. And of course, Brandon Moreno, of course, he's got a rematch with Figueiredo. I think that's happening in April or May on Dana's watch anyway. So yes, if he wins tonight, probably book him against Askarov or Perez, Cape that is, and then you give him that title shot, maybe closing out the year perhaps. But yes, incredible fight, and one I'm definitely looking forward to as as I am for, of course, Dariush versus Ferreira, of course. This is almost, to reference Nick Peter again and BT, what they're doing with the official lightweight tournament. This is almost like the Europa League spots, you could say, with Diego Ferreira and Beneil Dariush fighting out tonight. Both of them, looking to break it. Well, they're broken into that top 10. They're looking to get into that top 6, top 7. And, Ferreira and Dariush is 13th, so he's looking to break into the top 10 with a win tonight. But then that gives him Paul Felder, Dan Hooker, RDA. So it is very much the best of the rest. We've obviously got, Conor upwards to Dustin Poirier, all fighting for that title, but eyeing for title opportunities. Obviously, there's only 4 left realistically right now. Or then McGregor, if that trilogy does happen, and it's but for a vacant lightweight title, he could get in there and rob it from everyone. Nate Diaz has now said he's staying up at welterweight, of course. So yes, Ferreira versus Dariush, and we'll take a look at the Taylor tape. 17-2 against 19-1. Dariush, of course, last year, or this year, winning comeback of the year for his amazing, incredible comeback last year with that spinning back fist or forearm, you could say, against Scott Holtzman. He's on a 5-fight win streak at the moment, of course, beating Drakkar Klose, Frank Camacho, Drew Dober, and Thiago Moises. While Ferreira is doing okay himself, isn't he? He's not too bad. He's coming off the back of 2 losses, unfortunately, to Dennis Seether and Di Lorenzi. But he beat Corey Hill. Before that, he's 17-2. He's on a good record, and he's going to be looking to get back to winning weights. But Dariush is maybe the dark horse of this division. Maybe obviously you've got Islam Makhachev still coming up. You've got Gregory Gillespie, who's not been seen for a little while. You've got Kevin Lee still in there. Ali Quinta. The division is absolutely stacked with talent. But for me, I'm going to go through a Dariush win. And I think, I think we see him up against a Paul Felder or Dan Hooker next. Dan Hooker maybe gets Makhachev next. I think actually Makhachev has got Drew Dober, hasn't he? So we've got a fight planned up. So yeah, Dan Hooker, Paul Felder, who's not on the mic tonight. That would have been interesting. We've got 2 DCs and obviously John Anik tonight. So yes, I think that could be shout fire tonight. I think both of them are going to bring it, and of course, how can we not forget Molly McCann? There's Lara Procopio. This one's to the UK fans, of course. Molly McCann coming back to Vegas. She fought on against Tyler Santos on Fight Island last year. But she's going back in Vegas, and be interesting to see her get back to winning ways. She was on a 3-fight win streak before losing to Santos. Of course, she's been very emotional coming to this one with it being the birthday of her late father. She's going to put on a solid performance to get back in the win column for her. She's going to be buzzing after seeing Everton claim back a draw against United. Very much using that fighter's mentality to never back down and always keep going and drawing tonight. And I think you can see the Evertonian fan doing that in money we can. But it's ironic she's in the red corner tonight. Obviously, with United Everton, I'm gutted about that still. But hey, we at least got some fights to look forward to tonight. So yes, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. We just hit 100 subscribers, of course, so keep going on there. If we're on Facebook and Twitch, of course, hit that follow button. We're closing on 2K followers as well on Facebook, so yes, make sure to hit that button. And we'll be back Monday night, of course, for the recap. Will Overeem still be fighting, maybe? If he loses tonight, we've seen Alistair Overeem for the last time, so yeah, maybe something special tonight. So yes, I'll see you on the next one. And enjoy the rest of the fights.